So I said, come and support. I'm actually going to tell you a story about my son, who's a 10th grader at Woodinville High School. He was in an elective class at Leota as a 9th grader. So obviously it wasn't challenged, it's all students. And he was asked to work on a project with another student. It was a fairly lengthy project. It was the end of a year-long class. And he started working with the student and found that the other student was either not participating or the work that the other student was doing was not meeting the project requirements. And they were both supposed to do equal parts of the project, so my son was very concerned. So every night we would talk about this. He came home, he was very stressed out. We sat at night, and instead of going to sleep, he told me how stressed he was that he was going to get a bad grade. And we talked about and brainstormed, me, not a teacher, him, not a teacher, how he could explain the project to the other student so that the other student could meet the requirements for the project. And I explained to him, we talked a lot about compassion and about understanding and how we might describe things a different way. So he would go in every day, and every night he'd come home and say, it's just not working. Finally, when the project came to the near end and he was very concerned about his grade, I said, please go talk to the teacher. He went to the teacher and he explained the situation, and she had no idea that the other student had been struggling. No idea that the student really wasn't able to complete the project portions that was supposed to be occurring. And I'm saying this because I feel that this type of situation is not in the best interest of either student. Not the student that's trying to teach, and not the student that's struggling. And I'm not saying this to denigrate that teacher. She had very positive qualities. I'm just trying to simply illustrate the problem with the heterogeneous classroom. And these are the types of group learning experiences and kids teaching other kids that are sort of touted as great experiences for heterogeneous classroom, but I just want to give an experience where it just really didn't work, and I really don't feel that that was fair to either student. I really feel that neither option is ideal, because I do really feel that professional educators should have a strong role in helping students gear towards the challenge level, and neither option really provides that. But given the options that we are faced with, I must advocate for maintaining the self-select challenge at this time. Thank you.
Ahmed Sami?
Hi, I'm Ahmed Sami. I have 2 elementary school students in Woodmore in the PACE program. I'm here as a relative outsider. I was born in India, moved here about 10 years ago. I come from a culture where education is paramount. If there's a position of respect above the parents, it is the teachers. I look at that, and I look at coming from an education system where the infrastructure was, a bare fraction of what I see here. I grew up in that, and growing up, I did not have a choice until late into high school for selecting anything. And once I did, I could excel. But the story today here is about our kids. I believe my kids would have a better future. That's why we moved here. I believe in the education system and the diversity it offers, the public education system that is. And I also believe that what keeps America innovating in its business environment or in technology, whatever have you, is the choice and the freedom that we offer. With that, I frankly do not understand why we would remove or reduce choice. So I'm here to support option 3 for self-select challenge. I feel it will, if we do not offer that, and without self-select programs like PACE or IB or challenge in the middle school, we would drive people away, and that would reduce the diversity in the public school system, which would then have a cascading effect of becoming underfunded, and we already see that happening. My brother lives in California, and there it's already the norm not to attend public schools, and I don't want that to happen here in this culture of excellence that you have in North Shore School District. I feel I don't understand why removing or making challenge available for all or continuing with self-select challenge would make it, would drive segregation, or I heard in previous meetings that it leads to bullying in kids. I feel if you remove the option and you slowly start defunding the public school system's excellence, it would actually make it permanent with kids moving out to the private schools. So thank you for your time. I appreciate your work, and I hope you make the best decision. Thank you.
Hi. Oh man, it's been a while since I've done public speaking in any way. Some of you may remember me from when I was a student. I went to Skyview in Bothell, and I did honors at the time. That's what it was called. And honestly, it was the best thing I could have done. I took math honors all the way through 10th grade, no, 11th grade actually. My junior year was my last year that I did honors anything. And when I went into 9th grade, my principal, which was Mike Anderson at the time, he pushed me to jump from doing just the honors math to doing honors everything. I didn't think I was ready, but he did. And it turns out that I actually had a better time in those classes than the standard classes, because it was students who actually cared about their education. I wasn't being grouped up in group projects with those students that didn't care or were struggling. I was being grouped up with other students who were engaged and understood the material, so we weren't being, held back in any way. We were able to do what we needed to do to learn and to excel. One of the things that I'm worried about with this is that if you take away the option of choosing and everybody's all grouped into one thing. I've heard that there's supposed to be a remedial class available if you're struggling. Well, what's that going to do to the kids that are in band, choir, drama, etc.? What's that going to do to them? Because already, when I was in 7th grade, they had already made the choice to make it so that you had to take PE. That, I believe, was a national level thing. So I then had to choose between continuing in music or going into the other exploratory classes. I wanted to take all of them, but I didn't have a choice. So I chose to do band, continued on, but a lot of my friends chose to do the exploratory and not return to music. And I'm concerned about what this could do to the arts. I don't want to see our district's outstanding performing arts department suffer because of a decision from the school board. Another thing would be with those group projects, it honestly happens more than any of you can imagine, that there's 1 or 2 kids in the 4-person group that are really outstanding at the material, and there's 1 or 2 that either don't care or they're struggling. An example would be when I was a senior in Model UN. There were 2 of us that were doing everything we could every single night. I was at the school, 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. most days, because I was in jazz band and ASB and helping with other activities after school. So oftentimes I would be in the concessions booth in the gym working on my homework, and I was the only one from my group doing it. And I don't want to see everybody in that kind of a problem. Keep it so that we can choose.
Hi everyone, my name is Kitty McClare. I'm a parent of 4 children, an 8th grader, 2 7th graders, all at Timbercrest, and my surprise 2-year-old, so I'll be with you for quite a while. I'm here to speak on behalf of Self-Select Challenge. My primary concern comes from my own experience as someone who grew up in a family that moved every 18 months, who had a mentally ill parent who could not advocate for me, and who was often part of the undesirable group of students that we were looked at by teachers and other children, military family, sometimes that happens. The testing scores for me didn't ever come in until the next year, most of the time when we had moved on. I have been called stupid by teachers because I was checked out at that point, and never had an opportunity to be pushed or challenged or even encouraged either at home or at school. People didn't get a chance to know me. In the middle of my 9th grade year, we moved to a different junior high that did allow me to select my own courses. And since my parents didn't really care, I finally got the opportunity. And what stuck in my head was not anything that an administrator or a teacher said to me, but a librarian who would notice that I would read every book in the school library, stuff like that, who, before we left to move for that spring break, told me, you can do it, you know. You are meant for more than this. And that really stuck with me because there are children. Now that you have eliminated universal testing in all your elementary schools, now that it's very hard to get to a testing site, EAP is not available for everybody. There are not programs in every single school. Self-Select Challenge helps bring some of that opportunity to children who are not going to get identified by teachers, by staff, by parents. Ideally, that's what we want. And that's what I have fought for since my children entered school, through PTA, PACE, being very active, being a voter, all that stuff. I am passionate about this. I have compassion for the kids who get picked on. I was bullied mercilessly because I didn't fit in. That can happen on both ends of the spectrum. So I would just caution you, my ability to be empowered, to take a little bit more control at that pivotal point in my life, saved my life, challenged me to go on. I was accepted to college at 15 because once I was given my wings, I took off. I was able to have success instead of having people tell me that, you know, well, you got a really bad grade in that class because I was spaced off. So I would just encourage you, please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Angie Hancock, and I'm here today to say thank you to school board members, the administrators, the teachers, parents, and especially the students who spent countless hours attending meetings and study sessions, researching academic models, poring over mountains of data, writing letters, surveying fellow students, writing reports, standing up here and testifying. We have all worked hard to present data and evidence to support the model that we feel serves all of the North Shore students best. Tonight, the school board will determine the fate of North Shore's students by choosing the middle school academic model our district will implement in 2017. I'm confident that the school board has done its research, has examined the data provided to them, has listened to all the students who've shown the courage to stand up in front of an audience and tell their stories, because that's not easy. I urge the school board to do what is right for all of the students of North Shore by choosing the middle school grade reconfiguration task force's option 3. Thank you.
Good evening. Before I start, I'd like to ask everybody who is here in support of Challenge to please stand up for a moment. Thank you. Hello, my name is Angie Nohos Yusuf. I'm here today to implore you to listen to your constituents and vote for the task force recommendation of option number 3. The community overwhelmingly supports this option. They are parents of free and reduced lunch students, minority, IEP, 504, and special ed students. They are parents of high-cap students and gen ed students, and they are the students themselves. In this time of immense change, without a chosen leader for next year, is it prudent to take away a successful program that hasn't been evaluated, only to replace it with a system that many educators find extremely difficult and expensive to implement? The eyes of the larger school community in our region are on us. We have an opportunity to move forward and set a positive example rather than putting our district back to where it was in 2010 before self-select challenge, to a time when less underrepresented groups were accessing advanced math in junior high and AP classes in high school. We have shown how self-select challenge was created by the school board in response to mediocrity in the middle and intense community need. Would you be the school board that takes that away a mere 6 years later? The U.S. Department of Education guiding principle for 2016-17 recommends, quote, using evidence to drive improvements in policies and programs. I believe the community has given you all the evidence needed to confidently choose option number 3, which is a compromise for all parties and one we can support. I want to celebrate our district. We can't afford to slide backward. I sincerely value our teachers, administrators, task force members, and you, our school board. This is not about any one kid. This is for all the kids, the ones who want to be in challenge and the ones who do not want to be in challenge. I was thrilled when one of our excellent teachers recently told my son that his voice and involvement matters and makes a difference. Your vote tonight will do the same for hundreds of parents and students who have come forward and respectfully asked you to choose the district's option number 3. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Susan Cobb. Thank you for this opportunity to come before you once again in support of the Self-Select Challenge program. I am a parent of a 5th grader at Bear Creek Elementary. She spoke at the last meeting. She's looking forward to taking challenge classes when she gets to junior high school. The parents of Save Our Challenge are grateful to you for listening to our arguments, studying the current research we presented, and most importantly, noting that NSD Policy and Procedure 2090, among others, was not properly observed by the administration before recommending the removal of the successful and popular program. Because we feel strongly that self-select is developmentally appropriate and equitable for all students, from struggling learners to high cap, we ask that you vote for option 3, which was voted by the Middle School Task Force as the second choice of 4 options. While option 3 is not the first choice of Save Our Challenge, it is a compromise model that we can live with. It would stay the current course by preserving the self-select program for grades 7 and 8 and maintaining the mixed ability classroom for grade 6. As we move on to implementation, it should be incumbent upon the district to provide outreach to underrepresented students in this program. Also, concerns of general education teachers should be evaluated and addressed with the additional supports they need to make the general education classroom successful. Finally, I'd like to point out that I believe that we should go back to universal testing for all 6th grade students. Thank you for your time and consideration. Please vote for option number 3.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Chamberlain, and I have come to all but one school board meeting this year to talk about the choice you're going to make tonight over elimination of the Self-Select Challenge program. Many people have asked me why I have devoted to hundreds of hours to saving a program that affects neither of my children. It came to me during a 5-hour round-trip drive to Yakima to attend the state PTA convention this weekend. While I've been testifying all year as an individual, I have completely internalized and lived by the mission and vision of PTA. I know at least 4 of you have volunteered through local PTAs, so you probably know what their mission is, but I will say it anyway. The mission of PTA is to make every child's potential a reality. The vote you will take tonight is directly related to this mission. In order for our children who struggle, the 30% of all middle school age kids and the nearly 60% of free and reduced lunch qualifying children who are below standards, in order to make their potential a reality, they will need targeted supports so that they will be able to succeed in a rigorous challenge curriculum in the future. What they do not need is to be surreptitiously placed into challenge for all before they are even at standard. That would be setting them up for failure. In order for the children already at or above standard to make their potential a reality, they will need to have rigorous curriculum delivered at a depth and a pace that is appropriate for them. Right now, those children can choose to do that in the coursework they are most interested in. What they do not need is to be placed into challenge for all, which will inevitably be taught at a slower pace than those children need. That would set them up for boredom and waste potential growth opportunities for them. When we started this journey in September, I never imagined that it would take all year to get to this vote. But I stand here tonight to be the advocate, in Latin, the voice for the over 1,400 people who have signed the Save Our Challenge petition and PTA leaders across the North Shore Council. I ask you to think about the parents and students who have stood here before you and who have reached out to you by email. I am certain that all are asking the same thing, the PTA way. For every child with one voice, please vote for option 3.
Hi, my name is Mindy Worth. Good evening, members of the board. I'd like to first thank you for your service. Lately, I know you all have been putting in more than a full-time equivalent to an unpaid elected position, so thank you for your service and dedication to the students, family, community, and staff of the North Shore community. I'm here tonight to speak about challenge, and I haven't spoke about this publicly to this point. My reason for supporting the self-select challenge model is very personal, and it's not because I have any students in junior high or high school at this point. But while I support maintaining the self-select challenge program, I would say that if I had to decide right now on the spot, it is more than likely I would choose not to encourage at least one of my children to enroll. We already know what a heterogeneous classroom looks like. It's called K through 6. And I'm going to share a personal account of a struggling learner in this classroom model. This learner is not dumb or lazy, though as early as November during kindergarten, she had applied these labels to herself. During the IEP discovery meeting, her teacher confirmed that she was performing below the ELL students in the classroom and required extra support. This struggling learner receives just over 20% of a special education setting at school, up to 2 hours of private therapy a week, and an hour of therapy-based homework each evening in addition to her regular schoolwork. She is quite the opposite of lazy and works extremely hard for the few 3s on her report cards. Her first year of school was miserable. Imagine a 5-year-old in tears every morning, begging not to go to school because she thought she was dumb and chased and called names by a handful of kids at recess. Though she had been labeled socially delayed, she understood enough to know when she was teased and had confided that she was often too nervous to talk to her classmates because she doesn't know how to keep up a conversation with other kids. This struggling learner has a bright spot at school though, and it's art. When she was asked by her speech and language pathologist to draw a city, she spent a great deal of time and effort drawing a detailed diagram of a power grid. I am optimistic. I am optimistic that despite a rough start, this struggling learner may be a budding engineer. I just shared with you our family's experience with the heterogeneous model, and I'd like to counter a few of the arguments that the task force has made over the past few months. Number one, students who are unable or unwilling to enroll in challenge are teased or bullied. And I would counter that teasing and bullying occur in a heterogeneous classroom as well. Number two, challenge for all will become just that, a challenge for all. It will be a challenge for advanced students to not get bored and not resent being a student aide. A challenge for the average students to just get noticed, and a challenge for struggling learners to keep up and not feel the burden of needing to learn at a different speed or with a different approach. But when these struggling learners cannot keep up, the challenge will be to keep motivated enough to stay in school despite replacing electives with their academic labs. If I can just say one more sentence. If you vote to approve Challenge for All, the struggling learner I just described to you may spend her elected periods in an academic lab and miss out on what could be the highlight of her K-12 education career, and that is finding her way to flourish academically through the arts. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Charlotte Griffey-Brown. I'm a professor at Pepperdine University and a North Shore School District resident. You all are dancing in a minefield by engineering too much complexity into the changes for 2017. To advance toward a shared solution, avoid legal challenges, and align with the U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, I strongly recommend you adopt Proposal 3. I wish to make 3 critical points to support this. 1, complexity will lead to failure. As I've said in the past, you are designing for failure by imposing significant operational and curricular changes, all starting in 2017. The complexity you are designing cannot be executed without significant negative consequences. Including curricular change without public support will result in failure. The stresses are already evident in the system. Conflict, adversarial atmosphere, breakdown in community and trust. You're risking your ability to pass the necessary levies for NSD funding in the future. The only way to pivot around to a shared solution is to adopt Proposal 3. Identify shared metrics for student success and create a path forward. Second, I would like to let you know and remind you that as elected representatives of the community, you bear fiduciary responsibility for ensuring legal compliance in all school board functions and activities that you promote. The memos that are now posted on the agenda, the current one dated April 22nd, 2016, outlines the task force is board appointed and the subcommittee is part of this process. My legal counsel has advised that the task force and any subcommittees are therefore governed by the Public Meetings Act. Therefore, anonymous voting and lack of meeting minutes is not a practice that falls under the Public Meetings Act. Number 3, Proposal 1, Challenge for All, will not close the achievement gap. The U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights specifically recommends against this approach for serving underrepresented communities. And as a Latino member of this community, I find it hypocritical that the civil rights recommendation is ignored and that the group that is ignoring it has no representation on it of underserved communities. And I am speaking about the task force's subcommittee and the school board. The only way to arrive at a shared solution is to vote for Proposal 3. And you can reduce the magnitude of complexity for 2017 by simply doing that. Our children's academic success is too important to risk, and you have the fiduciary responsibility to uphold the processes that are outlined by the Open Public Meetings Act. Proposal 3 is the only way we can change this adversarial tone and move forward together. So I encourage you to vote for Proposal 3.
Hi, I'm Lori Ferriolo, and as you know, I'm part of the Middle School Grade Reconfiguration Task Force and the Academic Subcommittee. And over the last few months, I've been bringing up lots of data and information that's been going on. And I have testified in favor of retaining the current challenge class model. As a tax accountant, I need data to make decisions. I ended up going to parents for more recent research to make a decision on the challenge program. There were negative feelings throughout the parent community and feelings of distrust of government administration. Then the attack at Bothell High School happened. I drove my 9th grader to school yesterday, and what did I see? Teachers everywhere, waiting for students to come to school to learn and to show them that things were going to be okay. Parents and students on campus were wearing blue to support the school. The Facebook posts from all over the district and from schools that are normally rivals for Bothell, they all supported Bothell High School. It is time to come together and heal our community. I am asking you to vote for option 3, which is a compromise all sides could live with, so we can come back together and heal our community. The outpouring of support for the Woodshop teacher and Bothell High School shows it is not too late for us to come back together. Is option 3 my favorite? No, not even close. But it will allow the differing opinions to come together and work for kids. It will reduce emotions and give us a starting point to work on the achievement gap. It will give us time to evaluate the challenge program against the 6th grade middle school model and determine with our own data what works best for our children. I want to give the rest of my time to Sina Devontae.
Hello, my name is Astina Devante. I've spoken here many times before. I can only imagine how difficult your position is right now. There are different stakeholders across the district who have really different and very strong opinions, but ultimately we all need to work together to implement whatever is decided. Pretty soon you're going to vote on the challenge issue, and we're all going to switch gears from debating what the right program model is to actually implementing it. And that's going to be an important shift. Since October, you've heard a ton of research from the community. In fact, we started working on a top 100 list of reasons, and then we decided you maybe didn't want to hear all 100 because it was kind of boring. But it really was a lot of data points. And so rather than rehash all that, I'd like to share with you a few guiding principles that are top of mind for me. First, the school board's role in this system is to represent the community, the parents, the students, and the taxpayers who live in our district and who elected you to these positions. Other stakeholders in the system have other representation. Administration is represented through the superintendent, has tremendous impact in directing the implementation of the programs and policies that you set. The teachers have a very powerful union that bargains their contract and are the boots on the ground working with students every day. Other staff have their unions as well. The school board is the only formal representation of the parents, students, and taxpayers in the system. It's a carefully built system of checks and balances, balancing the needs of administration, teachers, staff, and the community. Your role in the system, the school board's role, is to represent the community. Second, I'd like to point out that throughout this debate, the community has been respectful. Yes, we have strong opinions, but there have been no backroom politics, no tears, no bargains to make, or skids to grease. We haven't spoken anecdotes or opinions. We've done the work to find the research. In fact, we found way more research than we expected to find. We attended school board meetings, kept comments, observed task force and subcommittee meetings, took notes, shared everything on a public website. We have not raised our voices. We have not attacked any individuals. We urge everyone to recognize that this debate is not a personal issue. It's a program issue. Third, there is a long history of the community desiring the Self-Select Challenge program. This is not the first time there's been a public outcry about Self-Select Challenge. The program was created by a unanimous school board vote. And then again, 2 years ago, the program was expanded to include challenge science, again with very strong community support. And yes, both times the teachers' union official position was against the changes. But then and now we hear from many individual teachers who are afraid to speak out publicly, who are very much in favor of the self-select challenge model and urge us to continue to advocate. Finally, I appeal to your common sense. Do you really think that putting the full range of students in the same classroom and asking every single one of our middle school teachers to become an octopus to meet each of those students' needs in the course of a 50-minute period is actually going to practically and pragmatically work? It's asking an awful lot. It's inefficient. And when a teacher runs out of time in the 24-hour day, because it's only a 24-hour day, it's the students at both ends of the bell curve that will suffer. And it's our teachers that are going to burn out. This model does little to close the achievement gap in elementary school or to keep our high achievers engaged. Why would it work any better in middle school? Please vote for option 3. It's no one's first choice, but we can all live with it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Danks. 2 issues I'd like to address tonight. One is that, first of all, I'm a mother of 3 kids in the North Shore School District, all 3 currently at Bear Creek. My oldest daughter, Alexis, is in 6th grade, Eeps in 2nd grade. She goes off to Leota this next year. An issue we've had the last couple of years is that my middle child, Olivia, she was grandfathered in under old policies when she entered Bear Creek in 1st grade. She's now in 3rd grade, that allowed her to continue and stay at Bear Creek through 6th grade. And the issue I have is my son, who is in 1st grade at Bear Creek, who started at Cottage Lake for preschool, Hollywood Hill for pre-K, Woodin for kindergarten, and Bear Creek now for 1st grade, is being forced to leave Bear Creek this next year since he is not grandfathered in under those old policies. So Alexis is going off to Leota for AP, and then Olivia able to stay to go on 4th, 5th, and 6th grade Bear Creek. Hudson is having to go to his home school, which is Woodin, and not be at school with his siblings these next few years. So what I would ask is that you guys would consider amending your policies on that to include the siblings of the children that have been grandfathered in, so that we don't have to move our kids around every single year. Second, my husband and I are both alumni of North Shore School District schools. We spent our childhood here and graduated from Woodinville, Lingamore, many years ago. We chose to raise our kids in this district because it is the best school district. We have options. We can go anywhere we want. This is where we chose to stay. It's the best, and for us, we stand with the thousands of other parents, taxpayers, the voters, and support this challenge program. As it doesn't apply to us this year with our daughter already in AP, but we want our children, Olivia and Hudson, to have that choice when they reach junior high. And we hope that you make the right decision, as we've trusted in you all to be the voice for the people who voted you into this position. We think our children deserve to have that option as they reach junior high. Please vote for option 3. Thank you.
And I apologize if I don't pronounce this correctly. Devaja Mudepa? Apologize. So a couple of the letters are smudged. So Devaja Mudepa is the last name. Mudepa. Perhaps they stepped out too. Karina File.
Hello, I'm Karina File. I have 2 kids in the district, and I want to thank you for everything you're doing with the bathrooms issue. And this talk about setting our challenge with the schools. I'd like to touch on that in just a moment. But first, I would like to request to amend the minutes meeting of 4/26 before being approved tonight to include the following: superintendent announcement of new bathrooms policy. Following Kim D'Angelo's ask, located on document page 9. This item is number 6 under adoption of consent agenda. The second request is to amend the end of year priorities to include the installation of new gender neutral bathroom signs throughout the district before September 2nd. 2016-2017 of the school year. This item is number 27 and under the board reports and communications. This echoes the superintendent's announcement and the recent email on the subject. And in a district meeting with Equal Rights Washington and Safe Schools and the Washington Safe Alliance, they echoed the concern and the lack of documentation for record, and asked that some sort of communication happens between the exiting superintendent and the incoming superintendent to access where the process is at and what needs yet to be done, and would like to be of support and aid if they can. On the topic of special needs and communication documentation, our special needs and persons with disabilities reach every part of our schools and in every setting of schools, or almost all. A group of families have come together to strive to improve those relationships and the outcomes of communications between families and the district office aside of CPAC. and some with CPAC. Questions were posed to families and include how could this better be obtained, and what would make you feel better about the process and the point of district involvement in families and schools. The answer is documentation, corrective course of conduct training, and decreased numbers of cases with the goal of documentation and training. We can do better by self-correction and not jeopardizing someone's job, yet teach them to do better and be better, so the outcome is less cases of occurrence. In a question posed at a district talks meeting, I made the most uncomfortable question that had to be made to clarify the error. That was, in cases where district is called into the school for a meeting or to engage in talks between a set of teachers, administrators with families, with students with disabilities or special needs, whether either the student has been denied access to services, accommodation, or refused placement, what is the school district doing to improve the outcome of such cases with numbers? I was told you weren't aware of those. I did reach out to a district official and understand these cases are called mediations and successful mediations, but no actual documentation of refusing access, limiting access to those students happens or occurs or is made. We'd like to see some effort come together with maybe the board or the district to answer that question to better serve the families and improve the outcomes of those teachers and administrators who are performing these inappropriate actions of limiting access and resources to special needs persons. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question real quick. I didn't quite understand the minutes piece, so could you just clarify what you did not see in the minutes and what?
Yes.
My name.
In the minutes, yes, in the minutes, you do ask on April 26th, what is the situation on gender-neutral bathrooms? Superintendent responds with a public statement of private gender-neutral bathrooms being district-wide policy. This is the first statement of that kind, but it's not reported anywhere in written documentation or text documentation.
I want to see it reflected in that. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karina. Sam Ames?
Hello, President Kask and fellow directors of the board. I am Sam Ames. You know me as a supporter and volunteer of CPAC, but today I'm wearing my parent hat as I speak to you. My oldest son is currently a 9th grader at Kenmore Junior High, and my youngest is a 5th grader at Lockwood. Both have been students in the PACE program. My youngest will be a 7th grader at KJH when the middle school, high school shift takes place in 2017. He is a student that works hard, and he is tested for the EAP program, and while doing well on the test, he did not make it into the program. He is what I consider a good candidate for challenge classes and would do well in a class with students that can work at a faster pace, and I want him to take challenging courses. I believe the pacing and depth of curriculum and expectations are appropriate to his learning style, and that the classes will invigorate him and keep him focused and well challenged. Already in 5th grade, and with Already in 5th grade, with several level of learners in his classroom, my son has commented on how easy math is, and that he gets concepts quickly the first time, and that at times he's bored. So I am concerned that the rigor and pacing that he requires to keep him focused and engaged will not be there when he reaches junior high if current challenge classes are not available. And it must be said that my son's 5th grade teacher works extremely hard, putting in early mornings, long days, and stays very late after school, no doubt in my mind to differentiate the curriculum for her students. She has been very receptive to providing what my son and his classmates need in order to learn. She is an exemplary teacher with many years of experience, and I wish she could be cloned so she could be in every classroom. She really is that good. My concern with the Challenge for All model is that it won't adequately meet the needs of students on either end of the spectrum. It's not any different than what you've already heard very eloquently from a lot of people and so well from students. And so while I do have concerns about my son and all students' learning needs being met in regards to challenging classes, I am concerned about struggling learners because my oldest was a struggling learner and still is. The learners who currently struggle with gen ed curriculum and pacing would definitely struggle with the Challenge for All model. And I'm especially worried about the students who don't qualify for IEPs and don't have a qualifying disability that allows them for a 504 plan to be in place. How will these students adjust to a Challenge for All model, and what supports will be given to them? I have heard that they might have to give up an elective in order to be pre-taught curriculum that they would be learning in the Challenge for All classroom. Please do not allow that for our most vulnerable students. This would be humiliating, and the mere notion that it was suggested by the administration is troubling. Struggling students need electives to find out what they're good at and to experience success in classes. I know my time is up.
If you have we can take your written comments and distribute them to the board.
Okay, but can I quickly say that I think that if the district were recognizing disabilities of dyslexia and dysgraphia and dyscalculia earlier on in the elementary school years and acknowledging it and remediating it better, that there would be less students struggling in the middle school or in the junior high and high school. And I do have some recommendations for the school district in terms of what the district could be doing better. And I will forward them to you. But thank you very much for your time.
Good evening. My name is Varisha Khan. I graduated from Woodinville High School in 2013 and attended Timbercrest Junior High between 2007 and 2010. And I'm now a junior at UW Seattle, double majoring in journalism and political science. And I'm honored to say that this past weekend I was elected to be the Democratic presidential elector and a national delegate for the 1st Congressional District, which is most of ours. Grateful for the education that the North Shore School District provided me through my junior high and my high school experience. What I owe my education to were my junior high and high school teachers and counselors, like Mrs. Ann McGowan, who is here today, who encouraged me to take advanced level classes, which gave me the challenging experience and education I had in the 7 AP classes I took in high school and the 4 honors classes that I took in junior high leading up to them. I took honors English and social studies classes, which was the equivalent of self-select challenge at the time. And today I support the Self-Select Challenge program. It was because of the self-select option that I had to take the advanced level classes that I felt ready to take AP English and AP History classes in high school. And that track, the challenge and the quality of education I had in those subjects, is the very reason why I chose my journalism and political science majors in college, and why I felt ready for the reading, writing, and analytical skills that they required. On the flip side, I didn't have the opportunity to take any sort of advanced level science or math classes in junior high. I took the placement test for math, but missed the passing score by only a few points. So though my aptitude was close to the honors level, I couldn't take the advanced classes and was demotivated to work on my own to try to take the test again because I didn't think I was cut out for it. Had I had the option to take a challenge class rather than fall back to the regular level, I may have been able to develop confidence in taking math rather than shying away from it in high school and in college. I originally intended to major in psychology, but I changed majors because, once again, I missed the passing score by 1 point. I worry for my sisters, who will be entering Timbercrest Junior High in the fall, and I worry for the students who receive free and reduced lunches, and any other students who may also shy away from challenge classes because they also may be unable to take a class if they may have missed a test by just a few points, or who feel that the universal option of classes is too easy for them. The Self-Select Challenge program gives students the self-confidence to continue to challenge themselves and apply and be competitive when applying for colleges and when they're taking college classes. I urge the board to please abstain from option 1 and to uphold the self-select challenge program. Thank you.
McGowan was, it was the speaking for, okay. Thank you for coming in. Diana Connolly.
Hello, today I come to you, Diana Connolly, and I too likely am probably viewed as a troublemaker because I have been advocating seriously hard for my oldest child. 2 board meetings ago, my youngest child came and spoke to you, and he stated why he chose to take 4 challenge courses next year, and that was because he wanted the rigor and the deeper thoughts and the information. The thing that I took away that was the most disturbing and upsetting to me was the fact at how disappointed and frustrated and angry he was at the negative comments made by the teachers and the union representatives that the parents, because they were advocating for their children to have more of a challenging curriculum, were being viewed as racist. When in actuality, a lot of the kids that are not meeting or being brought in and are underserved could have been directed based on their teachers, counselors, and other school administrators. So he asked me the question as to why are the parents viewed as racist? Because certain cultures are not being well represented in these areas versus kids that are. And I said, honey, I can't tell you. One of my biggest concerns though is currently we basically have the heterogeneous classroom style in our elementary schools. At this time though, all of those kids are not being met. Their needs are not being met. My son is a vibrant reader. He thinks very critically. He loves to talk, have engaging conversations, and he is shut down regularly in class because it's not part of the subject matter of the time. Therefore, he's bored. So then he gets in trouble because he gets his book out and he starts to read. The frustrations that I have is that my oldest son, who is dyslexic and dysgraphic, and I have fought since 1st grade to get him the proper interventions, the actual proven methodology and interventions to help him, has not been met. In fact, he ended up being exited from his IEP this last year because a band in 9th grade interfered with his Go Teach English class. I find this to be very frustrating. The fact that my son literally tested and writes between a 3rd and a 6th grade level, and he's a sophomore in high school, but supposedly getting A's and B's. But usually the only times on his own when he gets those grades is because he has a writing coach and a private tutor that we have to go and see on a weekly basis as well. Right now, for math, he sees a math tutor 2 days a week for his algebra trig. He's bright. He took challenge courses for math because he chose to. He also took challenge history because he's a history buff. He could probably teach history as well as his teacher could last year in the challenge course. I come to you today to beg and plead that you keep the Self-Select Challenge program because it meets the needs of all kids, not just the smart kids, not just struggling kids. It meets the needs of all kids because those kids that have success in one area can self-select to that one class, which is why he took challenge math and challenge history. All kids should have that same opportunity. We should all have a choice. The children should have a choice. And as your constituent, I would ask you please vote in favor of option 3. Thank you.
That concludes public comments. I had a request from a board member to take a short recess. Can we do 5 minutes? So we will be taking a short recess since we do have 5 minutes. And if you please don't feel any obligation, you're of course welcome to stay. We really appreciate the time people take to. This is just not a platitude. We really appreciate the time people take to come to the meetings and be involved. But we also don't want to have there be any sort of obligations if the children need to get home or what have you. Please feel free. But we can be in 5 minutes.